Look at that. A couple of you I was just emailing with. Um, in case I don't know you, my name's John Bracken. I'm at Digital Public Library of America, coming to you from Chicago. Um, and I guess I think my task is just to kick things off. And maybe I can kick things off a little bit by sharing some news at DPLA. I think, as a lot of you know, um, thanks to the work that you guys have been doing, and a lot of you have been, doing the work and talking about the work, we're able to grow and expand this Wikimedia partnership and work. And this, you guys have been at the heart of it, obviously, and Dominic's been at the heart of it. And among the steps we're taking as that work begins to grow is Dominic has a fancy new title at DPLA of Data and Partnership Strategist, which is an exciting next step in this continued growth of the work. And less important than everything we're going to talk about today, the actual work part of the work. But I did want to share that. And as Scott comes in, it's also a time I could put, for the first time in a forum like this, also just announce we've named Scott the interim director of technology. So thank you. So thank you to both of them, and thank you to all of you for being part of this. As I've said before in other contexts, maybe not in this group, the work we and you've been doing has hit a vein with a lot of folks, both inside and outside of our field. And it's exciting, and it's something, as we talk about it broadly, and some of you have been on the road with us talking about it, it resonates. And I think we're still kind of in nascent early stages of it, but the impact and the potential impact of this work is significant, and really helps us at a DPLA side to live up to our mission of expanding access to digital materials. So anyway, I'll stop talking now, because again, I'm the least relevant person here, and I'll hand the mic over to Dominic unless anyone has any questions, or unless Dominic, there's anything I'm supposed to do that I didn't do.
That sounds great. Thank you. So I'm actually just gonna quickly set the scene and then hand it over also. So as John said, my name is Dominic Bird McDevitt. I've led DPLA's Wikimedia project since the start of 2020. But the goal for today's meeting is just to have a very informal setting to introduce the Wikimedia working group to the DPLA network. The working group was an outgrowth of the work that DPLA started 3 years ago. Since that start, this project, we've always envisioned it as a collaboration between DPLA and the hubs and institutions. So I think it's very natural. DPLA is providing technology and support, but it's mostly up to the institutions to perform editorial work with their content and engage with the online community. So like the impact really depends on the involvement of the whole network. And I think the working group is one way that we're kind of formalizing that role of the network in the broader project, and kind of sharing ownership. And the members of the working group are a really impressive cross-section of DPLA's community, and include both like important stakeholders from our active hubs that are active in the project, as well as a lot of individual Wikipedia experts from the cultural heritage field more broadly. So yeah, if you've attended any DPLA Wikimedia related talks in the past, you've already heard from me. So this is going to be the introduction of the working group. So I'll hand it over. We are recording this meeting. And also, just as another reminder, we're calling this a coffee chat. So we're going to try to leave the second half or last third or so at least of the hour for conversation. So you can feel free to turn on cameras, ask questions in the chat. It's going to be very conversational. I have my coffee with me already. Um, so, and for logistical reasons, not everyone from the working group, which is actually DPLA's largest working group with 10 members, are all going to present in the main presentation. So I'm going to start off just by calling on everyone to briefly introduce ourselves, and hopefully that'll only take a couple of minutes, and then we'll get into the slides. I'm just going to go down in, I think, alphabetical order on the participant list of anyone who's in the working group. So Angela, you're first.
Thanks, Dominic. Hey, everybody. I am Angela Stanley. I'm Assistant State Librarian at the Georgia Public Library Service, which is the state library here in Georgia. I was really excited to get to work with Dominic early on in the Wikimedia project to upload a whole bunch of content from Georgia's public libraries, and I'm thrilled to be continuing to contribute through the working group. So Dominic, I'll hand it back over to you to highlight the next person.
Okay, and the next is Christine.
Hi, Christine Prince-Raslau, Metadata Technologies Program Manager at Harvard Library Information and Technical Services, and mostly a Wikidata, metadata kind of a person, and trying to get a handle on more Wikimedia Commons work. Thanks for having me here.
And then next is Eben.
Hi, everyone. I'm Eben English. I am the Digital Repository Services Manager at Boston Public Library. So yeah, like Angela, we've been contributing material since kind of the early days of the project. And so we're very excited to keep contributing to this and see where we can take it to the next level.
And then Evan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Evan Robb. I'm at the Washington State Library, and I'm one of the coordinators of the Northwest Digital Heritage Hub. And we are a recent contributor to Wikimedia Commons. We sent our first batch of content in late 2022.
And Jamie.
Hi, I'm Jamie Flood. I'm the Senior Wikipedian and Outreach Coordinator for the Agricultural Law Information Partnership at the United States Department of Agriculture National Agricultural Library. I'm a long time Wikipedian, not as long as some people in the room, but I've done a lot with the data that DPLA has put into Wikimedia Commons, not only on Wikipedia, but also in projects at the library. So thank you for what you contribute.
And then finally, I'll hand it over to Giovanna to introduce herself and also start saying a few words so we can start the slides now too.
Thank you, Dominic. So just get my notes here. My computer decided to turn off a while ago, so it's really hot, and I'm sorry if like it is breaking off or something like that. But hello, everyone. My name is Giovanna. I am a program officer for the Culture and Heritage team at the Wikimedia Foundation. I'm based in São Paulo, Brazil. That's why the accent. And in my team, I work with a few different things that I will say in a few minutes. But before that, I just wanted to start kind of the introductions of this coffee chat. And first, I would like to talk about the organization that I work for, which is the Wikimedia Foundation, which is the nonprofit organization that runs the Wikimedia projects, including more famously Wikipedia, of course, but also several other projects that you can see here in this image. And also with this project, there is like a set of different individuals and groups that contribute to it. And I'm talking about that in my next slide. But about the Wikimedia Foundation, our mission while running and helping to maintain those projects is to empower and engage people around the world to collect and develop educational content under a free license or in public domain, and to disseminate it effectively and globally. And there is also a phrase about that our founder, Jim Wales, always says that I really like, and I think it kind of captures a little bit more what it is that we are trying to do here with the projects, not only Wikipedia, that imagine a world in which every single person on the planet is given free access to the sum of all knowledge. And that's what we are doing. And I think this is a quote that I not only I really like, but I also think that it goes well with what the PLA is trying to do. And I think, you know, we are going to hear a little bit more about that with the other presentations. But now I would like to talk, and please next slide. I would like to talk about how our movement, the Wikimedia movement, works. And I know that this image is not so good to see on a screen like that, so I'm going to share the link for the image with you so that you can open and see it a little bit better. But basically, at the center, you can see Wikimedia movement, which is like the overall, like everyone who works and contributes to the Wikimedia projects. And on the left side on your screen, you can see the part that relates to the Wikimedia Foundation, which is the organization that runs everything. But also on the other side, and it's a shame that it's not connected because everything here is connected. It is the Wikimedia community, the projects, and also the chapters, the thematic groups, and the user groups. Chapters are the national groups that work on the projects and on the movements, and with the community, which is the set of Wikimedians and individual contributors that we find in the movement. And there's also thematic groups, which are like groups that work with a specific kind of topic, like Wik medicine, for example, and user groups, which are kind of like a smaller kind of groups that look a little bit like chapters, but just a little bit smaller. And depending on the subject, they can work a little bit like a thematic group or like a national group. And you can see here, like at the right side, on the bottom, you can see partners in GLAM as like Wikimedia stakeholders. And you can see galleries, libraries, archives, and museums. Those institutions are there because they help to grow and enrich the content that we find in the platforms. And that's what the PLA is doing, and the project that we are talking about today is doing as well. Next slide, please. And this is my team, and I will talk a little bit more about what we do. So this is Fiona, Sadip, me, and Sylvia. Sadip works with archives and living heritage, Sylvia with libraries, and Fiona with ENGOs and public service broadcasters. And I work mostly with museums, but I'm working with the PLA in this case, because the work with the PLA, it is first of all North America, which is one of the regions that I work with most. And also because it's working with visual knowledge and also linked open data in that environment. And I and my team, I work a lot with Wikimedia Commons. And specifically the work with the PLA, it's important to us because it's a work that it is related to North America, more specifically the US, to form a more organized, cohesive, and empowered Wikimedia movement in the region. It's also important because it's connecting heritage institutions to each other in the movement by helping institutions to have more reach and engagement with content on the project and with contributors. And also it is helping to have more heritage, cultural, and educational content available for all on the Wikimedia projects. And also to work on having more accessible and findable visual content on the project, which is like well described, structured, multilingual, by contributing to the linked open data environment. And that's why we are working on this project. So yeah, that's it for me.
Great, thank you so much. So as you can see, the goals of DPLA and Wikimedia are really just so closely aligned that it's really a natural fit to kind of pursue this project, and it really plays well with DPLA's goals of increasing access to knowledge. And I think that for a lot of us hubs that are contributing material, we've recognized the value of getting the content out of our own silos and contributing to bigger collaborations. And that there's really not a bigger collaboration out there than Wikipedia and Wikimedia. So so the work, obviously, we want to acknowledge the grant funding that has helped drive this work at DPLA from the Sloan Foundation and from the Wikimedia Foundation. To the next slide. So, again, the appeal of working with Wikipedia is really obvious in a lot of ways, right? It's a top 5 website, tons and tons and tons of traffic, and that has the potential to increase a lot of the usage of cultural heritage collections if we can integrate our materials with these sites. So there's been a lot of success in the program so far, and getting a lot of views and a lot of traffic driven from Wikipedia to partner sites and views of partner content. So DPLA has really been has forged the path, I guess. They've built the pipeline to help people do this in a more systematic way. So there's the DPLA is already aggregating metadata from a lot of us. And if you're not, if you're not a hub, or if you're not getting aggregated now by DPLA in some form or another, then we can try and help and get you integrated. But essentially, this is taking the metadata that DPLA is already aggregating, and then just also using the media files that are hosted by the institutions, and then pushing that material into Wikimedia Commons. And then ultimately the goal is to make it available as well in Wikipedia. So the typical way that this works is that you have a record that you've created in your local repository system or digital asset management system that gets harvested by your regional hub. Then that metadata gets harvested by DPLA. The media assets, so the actual image files, are uploaded into Wikimedia Commons. They get edited a little bit in Wikimedia Commons as they're uploaded. There's metadata that gets added to them that's pulled from your metadata records. And then eventually, they can be embedded in Wikipedia articles. And so one thing that's important to clarify is that to add an image to a Wikipedia article, it has to be in Wikimedia Commons. And to be in Wikimedia Commons, it has to be publicly accessible without any restrictions or licensing agreements. So in terms of the requirements to move data into Wikipedia or into Wikimedia Commons, there's kind of 2 pieces. One is this slide is actually a little incomplete, I apologize. So one is a reliable way to access the image content that's associated with your metadata record. So in a lot of cases, people are using the IIIF International Image Interoperability Framework presentation manifest framework to provide a structured data that allows Wikipedia or that allows DPLA to access the images, not just the thumbnails that they make available on DPLA, but also the full size images in JPEG format. There's other ways that you can provide access to your images in your metadata, but basically there just has to be a stable, reliable URL to a full size media asset. And then the other component is a rights or license statement, such as using rightstatements.org or Creative Commons, that declares that your asset is free of any copyright restrictions or freely available to use in any format and in any sort of reuse. And so these are not the only licenses that are available, but these are probably the most common ones. No Copyright United States from rightstatements.org, or public domain, aka CC0 from Creative Commons. So if those things are in your metadata, then as it's contributed to DPLA, then they can automatically take that and push it into Wikimedia Commons. So to this point, there's 11 hubs, over 300 institutions now have shared media or shared metadata on objects in Wikimedia Commons, over 3.25 million files, 200 million page views. So there's a significant amount of work that's been going on to this point, but it really is just scratching the surface of what is available through DPLA and through the vast network of hubs and institutions that are contributing material. So we want to increase that and have it become even more robust. And here are just some of the partnering hubs to date. Digital Commonwealth is the one that I represent, but there's obviously many others that are working on this project. So I'm going to pass it off to Angela, who's going to talk about the Wikimedia Working Group and what our efforts have been focused on so far.
Thanks, Evan. So as Evan mentioned, the successes of this project have really been evident, and the value of partnering with the Wikimedia Foundation, making sure this content is accessible through Wikimedia and Wikipedia is really proving to be so worthwhile. And to that end, I think DPLA really wanted to see this project feel less siloed and more integrated as a core part of DPLA's work and service mission. So we decided we would create the Wikimedia Working Group. I think we are less than a year old still. And we're apparently, I just learned this today, we are the largest of DPLA's working groups, but we feel like a small but mighty collective. So I'm going to copy and paste into the chat the webpage for more information about the project and the working group. But the scope of the working group is fourfold. So we hope to improve publicly available project documentation, to provide data remediation and improved structured data within Wikimedia. We also want to offer consultation, training, and outreach to interested institutions to increase the impact and discoverability of media contributions. And more broadly, we want to advance DPLA's goal of providing transformational leadership and technical support for the field. So with these kind of guiding goals, we wanted to sort of drill down and get a little more specific about what we might like to accomplish in the early days of this working group's work. And so there too, we've identified 4 sort of primary goals. So we want to make sure that we're aggregating existing documentation on project participation and creating new documentation as needed. So what we were finding is that, folks that really wanted to participate didn't have a single sort of one-stop shop for information about what would be expected of them and what they could do to prepare and sort of how to be onboarded. So we're working toward that. And we may also improve the functionality of the landing page and sort of add some blog posts and post further communications to the DPLA network just to keep folks apprised of what we're doing. We want to provide outreach in the form of partner onboarding and institutional support and training opportunities, both for the general public and for professional circles and conference presentations. We want to curate some training and outreach tools, and some folks on this call have done fantastic work of making some really accessible, sort of easy to follow training guides and videos. So that might include tutorials or workshop curricula or how-tos to support our current providers and hopefully attract some new ones. And then we want to provide some iterative feedback for the improvement of tools like Depict Assist, which we'll talk more about later, to remediate data and to improve discoverability of DPLA uploads. So that is, those are sort of our key focus areas for the immediate. And now I'm going to pass it over to Evan to talk a little bit more in depth about the pipeline process.
Great. Okay, so yeah, I think we're going to do a live demo here. And so first off, we're also maintaining a page on Wikimedia Commons about this project. And this is one place where we're providing a little bit more documentation about how to participate, a little bit of background. So we just recently added a brief summary of requirements for participation. And this includes a link out to DPLA's GitHub page describing the ingestion process, which goes into a lot more detail. And it's a little bit more detail than most hubs need to get started. So the basic steps are to work with your providers at the hub level to get some buy-in for participating in the project. When I did that, and made my elevator pitch to several institutions. Some of them were an immediate yes, we want to participate, and others said no thank you, or not at this time, we'll see how it works. So we did get several institutions ready to go and participate. And then I scheduled a meeting with Dominic and Scott at DPLA, and we figured out exactly what our records needed to look like, the records we were aggregating as a hub. And I've provided a couple examples here of what that might look like in a mods XML file. Really, there's no one prescribed way for providing this data to DPLA. We're, as hubs, we're all providing data in a variety of formats and standards. DPLA just needs to know how to reliably ingest that data to make that the DPLA Wikimedia Commons pipeline actually work on a regular basis. So this is the main landing page for the all of the hub's content on Wikimedia Commons. I'll provide a link to this in the chat. And you see 18 subcategories here. I'm going to click into my hub's page, and you can scroll down and see the actual public domain images that we've contributed thus far. And we can keep drilling down. There are a number of ways to search within this content, and we'll provide some of those ways in our documentation as well. So this is content from a single provider, the Natural Resources Conservation Service. Shows some public domain images, and let's choose one here. So this is a image of sheet erosion, a type of soil erosion. And this is a public domain image. It shows the record that we've pulled in from the DPLA aggregation, including copyright information, the original provider, a link to the record and its source catalog, etc. And if you scroll down, you can see where this file may have been used on Commons or in Wikipedia. This one hasn't been used. And also, you'll be able to click on the structured data link and see if there is any structured data that we've added to this record. And there's quite a bit here, including a main subject for conservation. So say we wanted to add this image to a Wikipedia article. We could do that by clicking on use this file and selecting the thumbnail link. And here is the sheet erosion page on Wikipedia, which I checked beforehand, of course. It doesn't have any image. So let's go right in and edit source. And I'm going to just drop this thumbnail image right at the top here. And I'm really liking Wikipedia's new look and feel. It shows you a preview right then and there of what your your thumbnail image will look like. I'm going to change the name on this. I don't want that file name information included in my caption. And I know this is pretty elementary to those of you who've worked in Wikipedia, but not everyone has. So I'm going to make a quick note that I've added an image and published changes. And now we've added a image from our Wikimedia Commons content to Wikipedia. So this is a great way for our cultural heritage institutions to help integrate their content into Wikipedia and other places on the web. And that's been mainly what we've been doing as a hub, but really most of the activity that we've seen has been other Wikipedians and Wikimedians working with our content. And it's been a really nice surprise thus far to see just how much activity we've seen in terms of adding our content to Wikipedia articles, including some Wikimedians digging through thousands of pages of textual documents, cropping out images that were really buried deep inside these documents and then adding them to Wikipedia articles. So really bringing them to the light of day. And even in just a short few months, we've seen, tens of thousands of hits on some of those pages. So it's been really nice to see some of this content that was somewhat hidden see the light of day. So that is our live demo, just so you have a sense for what is entailed here. And I'm going to stop sharing and hand it back to Eben.
Great, thanks, Evan. So, you can see from that demo, it's really not difficult to get this content added to Wikipedia articles. It is really, the Wikipedia interface has made it so simple to just, click here, copy some stuff, paste it into another window, and then boom, you're done. So anyone can do it. So, and that's true. Literally anyone in the world can do it, right? All they have to do is have a Wikipedia account or a Wikimedia account. So I'm going to share my screen for a second. I just want to talk, Angela already talked about kind of the broad areas of work that we're focusing on, but I just want to kind of just provide some examples of the, the kind of universe of things that we're dealing with here. So let me try and share my screen again. And I'll share Chrome. And hopefully I can move the share. Oh, good. Yeah, the share the share toolbar always covers up your tabs when you're sharing your screen, makes it a nightmare. So anyway, this is the obviously the DPLA Wikipedia page, Wikimedia homepage, and the DPLA's kind of pro.dpla, pro.dp.la. Which doesn't require a login or anything like that. Anybody can come and check this out. Here's our Commons page. I think some people already put a link to that in the chat. But really, like, what we've been exploring is just like the wide universe of documentation that people have already created. And Evan has done some creation of tutorials and things like that. That's very specific to their Wikipedia page. There's also other documentation out there that other members of our group have worked on for their own projects that aren't necessarily specific to the DPLA kind of image focused work, but are more broad. So what we're going to be trying to do is trying to aggregate a lot of those and provide people with kind of a curated set of tutorials or things like that will be more immediately helpful. So you're not sort of wandering the wilderness of all that kind of stuff. Also, as Angela mentioned, helping with DPLA and their data modeling. So there's actually a detailed description of how DPLA is mapping all of the metadata from their own metadata application profile to Wikimedia Commons. So we can try and advise on that. And I'll throw all these links in the chat. I want to be able to get to like discussion and questions and things like that. So I'm not going to spend too much time on these, but I will throw these in the chat as after I stop sharing. Looking and trying to aggregate, there's been a lot of presentations, there's a lot of talks that Dominic has done, but other folks have done as well. Like we need a place to kind of centralize all that. So we think the working group can help with that. There's also a lot of statistical tools that institutions can use to get information about how much or how many views that their items are getting on Wikipedia and other Wikimedia sites. So this is one tool here. You can see this is media contributed by Boston Public Library, and it shows you the number of page views kind of like on a monthly basis here. And so there are a number of different tools that do this that are based on, Wikimedia has its own APIs here. And so these tools are kind of trying to pull data using those APIs and then render it out in kind of like a dashboard situation. There's also other organizations. There's the GLAM Wiki Dashboard, which I think is a product of Wikipedia Israel, if I'm not mistaken. Here it goes. So, I think that part of what we're doing is looking at all these tools, figuring out what's good about them, what's not so good about them, and then we can try and, maybe we can advise the Wikimedia Foundation on, the products that they're involved in building. Maybe we can help build in support to existing digital asset management systems. There's some really good development resources that are represented in the working group. So there's a lot of ways, and we think that we can contribute as well. And as well as, just letting people know, kind of directing the community. There's also grants that the Wikimedia Foundation provides, and these range, and there's a lot of different levels of grants in terms of the amount of money that they're awarded and how many cycles and things like that. So there's a lot of information out there, and Wikimedia obviously is an international organization, so it's much bigger than people realize, and so we can help draw some attention to the kind of larger universe of Wikimedia work. Also working with Depict Assist is a tool that DPLA is currently working on here to help try and add description to images that have been uploaded to Wikimedia Commons. I don't know if this is, I'm not going to do a live demo of this, but you can kind of play with it at this URL here, depictassist.toolforge.org. And again, I'll throw all these in the chat. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I think we would like to spend some time just doing some Q&A. So I think Angela was going to try and lead us in a little discussion.
Yeah. So we've kind of, thrown a lot at you and, talked about everything from the big picture project down to the brass tacks of how you participate. And we're just, excited to share our progress with you and to know what y'all think, what questions you might have. So we will just open up the floor. You can feel free to unmute yourself and just ask your question live or type it into the chat, and I will make sure to read it aloud to the group. And if it's helpful to sort of get things going, we do have a couple of discussion prompts pre-prepared, but I know it's also helpful to have a quick second to think about what questions you might have. So I will start with one, which was, thinking through what we might be able to do with the kinds of data that we get from our various institutions' participation in the DPLA Wikimedia project. So for most of us that have participated or seen our institutional content made available in Wikimedia and linked in Wikipedia, The points of access are really staggering, many millions of clicks, far above and beyond, I think, what most of our sort of institutional repositories could ever hope to get. So that's wonderful, and we're really excited, and I feel like that certainly makes the small amount of time it takes to make these contributions and edit articles worthwhile. But I'm just curious to know, what y'all think about what we can do with that data. And we're still kind of tussling with that question in Georgia. Who can we report it to, and how can we celebrate it, and you hopefully utilize it to sort of spawn more contributions and get folks more excited. So I'll just leave that there as sort of something to chew on.
Yeah, I'll chime in if no one else has a response to that immediately, and just take my DPLA hat off and put on my Indiana Memory Hub hat, because I also am currently working for IUPUI University Library in Indianapolis. And this is something that we've been working on for the last year as well. We have been using our impact metrics from our participation in the Wikimedia project to seek funding for the library, and also for Indiana Memory as a hub for sponsoring its DPLA member dues, for example. So by reporting on all of our, I forget now the number, I think it's like about 8 million page views that Indiana Memory has gotten in the 3 years of participation. That was like our primary sort of like rationale for the funding that we're seeking, from not from one of these big, not from Sloan or something, but from an actual local Indiana arts funder. So we're waiting. We were funded last year for a small grant, and waiting for word on a bigger one this year.
I have a question for the people who are not from our working group. I don't know if they can answer, but I was wondering if people here have like somehow in some other environment learn about this Wikimedia involvement with cultural heritage institutions. If this is something new for you, or have you heard about this in some other situation, or like engaged with some similar kind of project in your own institution?
So I'll go ahead and respond to that. This is Helen at Colorado State University, and we were going to start doing Wikimedia work about a year ago, and then we had a retirement in our digital collection services unit, and we kind of sat on that for a while, trying to figure out how to make up for one person who was just gone. And then last week, excuse me, I was attending one of the DLF virtual sessions, and somebody mentioned in their presentation that they would work on this project like on a Friday afternoon for an hour or two. And I thought, hey, that's something that I can do. So I'm so glad that I attended this meeting today. I came here to be inspired and also to learn a little bit from you guys, and I got both for sure. And I'm really excited to be working on this. I've been in touch with my my Plains to Peaks collective partner about this before, and we're going to pick this up again. But so that's kind of like how I got into this. I needed to know that I could actually like not spend a huge amount of time on this all the time, because we have a lot of really big projects going through the department right now, which are wonderful. But I also have this time in my schedule where I need to find something sometimes for only an hour or two, and this is going to be fantastic. I so appreciate documentation. Before I stop talking, I just wanted to mention, Evan, I would so love to have that depict assist working. It's not doing anything for me right now. It's just kind of loading and loading, but that would be super helpful to know what we've already got in there. That would really help me out. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I'll just say that that's a tool I'm developing. It's kind of been a prototype, and I'm doing some other work on it on kind of a parallel approach also. So I think what's live right now is no longer loading. So it's not being maintained, but we're gonna launch like the real tool soon. That's a tool for adding like adding what's called a depicts statement, which would help discoverability on Wikimedia Commons. You can actually see what your institution has by going to the category page on Wikimedia Commons. And you said Colorado State University, right? So yeah, so Plains to Peaks has already facilitated those uploads, just to let you know. So yeah, there's about 45,000, I think that said, uploads already. So I
Yep.
just threw the link in there. That's where you would see them.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Okay.
That's a lot of images to pass through. So and a lot of them are just text. And so we would just bypass all of them. But
Yeah.
Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
no, I was gonna say I'd be happy to go through it more if you wanted to meet individually. I'm happy to do one-on-one meetings too.
Thank you. That's very kind.
I want to pick up on Helen's comment about this being, something that's just like, can look like just 30, 45 minutes, an hour as you have time. The reason that that Georgia kind of really jumped on Wikimedia in the early days was it kind of aligned right with the worst of the pandemic shutdown. And we had a bunch of library staff who were working from home, whose jobs did not traditionally incorporate work from home schedule. And many of our libraries were really looking for stuff that they could do from home to keep them employed. And so this really beautifully served that purpose. It is very easy to teach staff at any level how to, edit an article, add an image. We had folks from, reference staff to Circ Desk staff who were having a ton of fun, adding images to articles. We created some minimal documentation at the time. We'll be excited to have some more that we can borrow from, but I think one of the most satisfying parts of this is that you do a thing and then the thing is done. And there's no future processing. There's no like, I need to bookmark this and come back to it. There's no, maybe you have some kind of internal review layer if you want, but you do it. And then immediately, as was demonstrated earlier, it's there, it's available, and people can click on it. And so in a world of things that seem to never truly conclude, that felt really, really good. Other thoughts, comments, questions?
I have a follow-up comment to your last comment there, that it's a shame that that specific page that we show, the addition of the image, it was only available in English and another language. Because if it was in more languages, we could use that image in several Wikipedia articles in several languages. And this is also to demonstrate kind of the global impact of this kind of work, right? You do it once and you do it in your language in one page, and then suddenly it's living in this global multilingual environment as well, and enriching, people and topics that you wouldn't even imagine from that one single image, right? Yeah.
Giovanna, do you mean the record that came from DPLA associated with that file was only in English?
No, that sheet erosion
Right.
article, yeah. Because
Right.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna add the Wikidata item, the image, and then I thought about adding to my own language, Portuguese, but there's no article for that in Portuguese. It's a shame. I might translate the article so that I can use that image there as well.
In the chat, I see that David said that they have some images and commons pulled in with the Flickr to Commons tool, and they've used Open Refine to add depicts. And now they have a couple of small grants, and the portal to Texas history is scanning some of their images. Thank you for sharing that, David. That's awesome. To the working group team, I wonder, is it possible that we could show one of the awesome TikToks while we still have folks connected? Because those are so great. And I tried to get them to open, but I don't, they seem to be in a box account and I don't have that.
Yeah, I was gonna show the TikToks. Yeah, there's a whole, when we were talking about documentation, there's a whole genre of Wikipedia tutorial TikToks, as there's probably every genre of TikToks, but one of our Wikimedia working group members, Rachel Helps, who I think is at Brigham Young University, has created some really, really fun ones for some of her work. She's like the Wikimedian in residence there, but the links were not working for me when I tried to add them to this presentation. I sent her an email about it, so let me just check my email. Maybe she got back to me about it. They might have been like pre-upload and like now they're officially available on TikTok somewhere. Yeah, I see Jamie saying, does anyone have the link? Let me see if I can find the link real quick and I'll post it in the chat.
While he's looking for that, I've been wondering whether any hubs have been using this content to create Wikipedia edit-a-thons in their state or region. Has anybody heard about that happening? Specifically with this content from DPLA?
We did a Wikipedia edit-a-thon at BPL, and it's been a while actually since we did it, and then it was always an idea to have more, to do more, but we did get some really good interest, not just from our digital repository and digitization team, but from like public services and reference librarians, things like that. And again, like people being at home, working remotely during the pandemic really helped. But I think that we got a lot of enthusiasm. I think we did like an edit-a-thon for maybe an hour or something, and we got maybe 50 or 60 articles updated with images and things like that. And people seem to really enjoy it. And it's kind of a fun departure from their normal work. And most of those people had not contributed to any Wikipedia articles before this. So it was a totally new experience, but it seemed to go really, really well. And so, and the training, it really is not super duper demanding, right? It's something that you can teach people to do within 5 or 10 minutes. And then, so it's pretty easy to set aside about an hour to do something like that. So we're hoping we were at that same presentation where someone was talking about the Friday Wikimedia editing activities. And so we're going to try and implement that here at BPL as well, to just, everybody take an hour on a Friday, whenever you have time, we don't all have to do it together at the same time, but just update a few articles, and see where that gets us.
Okay, it looks like we cannot get to Rachel's TikToks, but we will find a way and we will share them because they are worth viewing. We are just about at the end of our hour. Any final comments or thoughts y'all want to share? Christine says they're planning a Wikimedia Commons Wikidata edit-a-thon focused on digitized political buttons that will hopefully be part of their contributions to DPLA. That is going to be so fun. I can't wait to see that.
I wanted to just shout out John DeWeese, since we've been referencing him, the librarian that did Wikipedia on Fridays, who's at University of Rochester now, but did all this work for the Toledo Lucas County Public Library.
Maybe there's a tie into Archives hashtag party as well. Every month, the National Archives announces a new theme for their Twitter hashtag party. Maybe we could tie that into Wikimedia in some way.
Awesome. Well, I hope that folks, yeah, totally, Wikimedia editing party. I hope folks found this valuable, useful. If anything, we got some really cool ideas for sort of generating interest in editing articles. Dominic or y'all, I don't know if there's anything in particular that we want to sort of wrap with, but I think this was really a great way to sort of see, you know, what the working group and DPLA and Wikimedia have all been working toward. And I hope that if you aren't already contributing, that you will consider doing so and not hesitate to reach out. There is a slide somewhere, I think, that has contact information, but there's also the URL that was shared earlier to the Wikimedia page on the pro.dp.la page. So if you have any questions that you didn't want to ask here, please feel free to shoot them over, and we will be thrilled to help you work through them. Thanks, Giovanna. Awesome. All right. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, everyone.